In this lesson, we will elaborate on the differences between the categories and models section that exist in the layer environment. For this example, we will see two alternative ways to engage with room instances when dealing with a Revit model. We will create room datasheets under the models section and room datasheets under the categories section. For small residential projects with a few rooms where you need to create a room datasheet for each room, it is recommended to do that under the Models section. For bigger projects like commercial buildings where you are working with room typologies, you can create a workflow where you collect information about groups of room instances from your model. For that process, it is recommended to work under the Categories section. First, we will start with the Models section. We've already published our Revit model to layer. Every instance of every room that belongs in your Revit model shows up here under the Rooms category. In this situation, you can add any necessary information for your room datasheet. We could add fields to track items such as the floor finish, the ceiling finish, and images for each room. By combining and utilizing the different field types, you can document your rooms in detail. Ultimately, I will generate a document view that will showcase all the rooms present in my Revit model. This view will consist of reports for as many rooms as there are in my model. Let's move to the layer categories. When dealing with larger structures, such as commercial buildings, we typically refrain from discussing individual rooms and instead focus on room typologies. This is where layer categories come into play. You can basically create a sequence or a workflow for groups of rooms that share similar characteristics. Here I am using the room datasheets template that the layer team has built for you. First thing I will be doing is to edit the sequence of my fields in order to move the room type text field under the Revit model validation section. This text field will help us identify what room typology we will be creating a datasheet for. I will go back to my Revit rooms under Models to filter down all the instruction rooms that belong in my model. The room datasheets template has already a display Revit parameter field in place named Model Parameters that includes a Revit parameter name for all of my rooms. That will be my matching agent between my room datasheet and my instruction rooms. In order to pull information from my instruction rooms into my classroom datasheet, I need to combine the room type text field with a lookup field. The lookup field in layer operates similarly to Excel's VLOOKUP function. It needs the value of two cells to match in order to pull information from a location in my spreadsheet. The room datasheet template comes with a couple of lookups already set up, one for quantity tracking and one that displays the connected rooms from Revit as a list. I will create a new one to demonstrate how this works and pull the area for each room that has been exposed under my rooms category. I need to connect the two fields that contain the value instruction. The source will be the text field room type, and the target will be my rooms category, and the model parameters field contains the name for each room. Once I establish the connection between the two fields, I can then utilize the last selection box to pull any other information from my rooms category. In this case, I have the area parameter exposed using my display parameters field. The lookup field now shows that we have 19 areas that correspond to my instruction rooms that came from my Revit model. Hovering over the value, I can see which area represents which room. How to exactly utilize such a powerful tool? Our whole exercise has been to find a way to create a room datasheet for room typologies that can hold information from my Revit model, along with everything that I have collected manually for my room datasheet. I'm going to be adding the list of areas for my instruction rooms from my model and customize how it is shown on my report. This is basically all the rooms that fall under the instruction group that I set up earlier with the lookup field. So basically I can pull information from my Revit into my room datasheets using the layer categories. We now covered how and when to utilize the models and the categories section in order to create room datasheets depending on what my deliverable is. Another great way to utilize the connection via the lookup field is by using the special relationships field. This calculates which objects belong to each room in Revit. This way I can post on my datasheet elements that belong in my Revit rooms. First step is to create a special relationships field under my rooms category. I will name it furniture items and select the furniture filter as I want to pull only those for now. As I can see, this field calculates the furniture that belong in each room. I can use this on my datasheet under my rooms category to document the contents for each room instance. But for this example, I will take it a step further and show how to utilize that for my room typologies. Now, for my room datasheets, I will need to create again another lookup field. I will name this one Furniture Items from Revit. As earlier, I will create the connection using the room type field and the room name parameter. But this time, I will select the Furniture Items field. I can see now that the field displays the contents for all of my instruction rooms. So the final step is to edit my room datasheet, where I will drag and drop it on my report. I will choose the table option to display the contents of each room grouped for each instance.